the knee slices we were doing, we're gonna take a look at float passing. All right, so we're gonna start somewhere else. We're gonna start in butterfly guard. Okay, he's gonna scoot in. He's gonna get posts in my armpits. Okay, and he's gonna start to elevate me. All right. When this happens, this is one of the main times you would choose to go to a floating position. Okay, because a lot of times you don't have a choice. Like if I wouldn't have posted here and instead of posted my feet, that's exactly what Joe wants if he's looking for something like single leg X or X guard. Yeah. So it's like something you would do normally out of instinct, but instead I'm going to transfer to my hand so I don't give him that option. Okay, hence the float position. Okay, all right. So on top of floating, we're also going to work on the skill of pummeling. Okay, so I'm going to bring my heels to my butt. I'm going to pick one side, point my toes, and I'm going to pummel my foot around his foot. Okay. Again, toes pointed so that when I go to pummel around, my foot doesn't hit this. Okay, I want to really clear his foot and shin here. So toes pointed, pummel, shin to shin. Okay, I'm using my foot to push his foot out as my knee pushes his knee in. And as we fall here, we're just going to transfer this hook to headquarters. Okay. So again, we're not going to go too deep on headquarters this week because we're not going to be spending a lot of time down here. But when you land, again, just make sure your feet are out, your knees are in, and you're 45 degrees, okay? We're paying close attention here. Okay, guys, again, you need to curl your heels so you can actually get this foot up nice and high. And when I get this up high, look, I don't leave my toes pointed. If I go to stretch here, like not only can I not move his leg, I kind of just slip right off because I'm not really attached to his leg. Okay, think of your foot as like a hand. When you make a butterfly hook with your foot, it's like a hand grabbing a wrist, if that makes sense, okay? So watch the difference here. So I do point my toes to get around, but once I get here, you see my toes, I'm curling, and that's what actually helps me push that leg out of the way. Here, see toes pointed, all my weight's into my hands, like I'm about to do a push-up basically, okay? And guys, like draw a circle with your heel to get inside that space, okay? Now from here, I'm turning his foot out, turning his knee in, stretching. You guys see when I stretch that through, that should give me a strong ability to bring my shin knee inside for headquarters. Okay? That's what we call like a cross pummel. Okay? So go ahead, elevate me again. So you might be thinking, I didn't see anyone do this on accident. Okay? But you're like, okay, I pummel this over, I get his ankle. Okay. Can you separate your feet a little bit? Okay. Alright, so that's the same side ankle, right? The cross pummel would be if you guys, let's say, overshot it and you got both legs. And then a lot of times we can look for passes here. Again, we looked at strategies here where we flank, we off balance, and we step in. Okay. If Ulysses was laying back, okay, we wouldn't need to quite off balance. We would just be looking at things where we flank here and then step in. We've entered into headquarters. Again, headquarters is its own class. We've done plenty of classes on it. Lots of videos on our YouTube page to review, okay? We're not gonna go over any of that. We're actually gonna just stick with that same theme in that, hey, Joe still has a butterfly hook here, and a lot of times if I don't position myself properly in headquarters, I don't put enough weight on him in the right place, again, he can choose to elevate me forwards to that butterfly hook, okay? Now, from here, we're just gonna use the same movement to pass, okay? So again, toes pointed, rotate around, and then butterfly hook, okay? Now I'm using the butterfly hook again to push his foot out, turn his knee in, so I can stretch this back, and then start to sit on it, okay? So now we've essentially like splayed his legs open, all right? We wanna keep this hook so he doesn't transfer me to a half guard here, okay? If I take this off, he's gonna lock his legs into a quarter guard. Yeah. Still a great position, okay? But we're still giving him a lifeline there, okay? So guys, we're gonna be moving the headquarters hook, the butterfly hook, okay? So from here, we're gonna do one more float, and we're gonna use this to pummel, okay? If he's a novice, he's not doing a lot of things, okay, you can get away with this, but the same thing could happen. You could hip escape and push this back into quarter guard, okay? So instead, we're gonna bring it to the other side. So weight into your hands, windshield widen, shin across. We'll just assume he's not giving us a reaction here, so we're just going to settle into side control with a cross face and an underhook, okay? So, to the best of your ability here, okay, Guys, try to really overshoot this and really get your foot above his foot, okay? It can still work if you're kind of low here, but it's almost like a leg lock, right? The closer I get to the toes, the more likely I am to slip off, okay? So get nice high leverage with your shin, and look, I'll just give a little demonstration here gently. You should be able to like ratchet your partner's leg. You guys see that? Okay? And when I make that ratchet motion and I feel his hip and knee lock, that's when I'm just gonna extend my knee. So I'm not gonna take my foot off. You guys see that traction I have? Okay, so that's what I mean by like a shin on shin hook. That's really important to keep. Otherwise, if I slide off too much, it's just gonna kick that leg out. Okay. One more float here. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, but this time to pass. Okay, toes pointed, rotate around, ankle to ankle, shin to shin. Okay, knees pushing his knee, my foot's pushing his foot. I'm extending, and then sitting on sips here. Okay, and then when I'm ready to pass, just gonna put weight back into my hands. This will be like a mini float. Disengage that butterfly hook, pummel over, and start to look for your cross face and your underhook. Just show you guys a few of them really quick. Alright. So on top of this, like if I find that Ulysses' knee goes to the outside of my knee, so let's say he flares it, we can also have like an inside knee position here. And just pummel here. Okay. If you guys remember what I said in butterfly, when we're here, we can find ways as we're extending to actually involve both legs for a pin. And that's when we get here, we can't bring this leg through when we cross our feet. Okay? And then from here, we can actually use this leg to bring it through. And then start pummeling here as well. This is going to get into our first what if here. Okay? We'll go for all the way from the beginning. Alright, so he knows I want to pummel over like this, okay? His counter is very simple. He's just going to try to keep his hook higher than mine, okay? Now, when that's the case, he's opening up space somewhere else, and that's the space between his knee and his elbow here. So we're going to perform what we call a front pummel. It's almost like the high step of this position. So instead of fighting here all day trying to get this foot over, I'm actually going to take my knee, bring it to my shoulder, and rotate my heel through to get these top butterfly hooks here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, and then from here, then we can look to transfer to the same position. Okay. So we get into headquarters here. I'm starting to get elevated. My hands go to the mat. If you rotate over and you get the hook, great. Do what you just did. But if he's kicking his leg up, okay, I'm instead going to engage my knee forwards, circle my heel through. Okay. You guys see why I compare this to a high step? It's like you're drawing that question mark. Up, draw around the knee, and then butterfly hook. Looks crazy, but if you follow that little guide there, it should actually be pretty simple. Okay? And then from here, then we can look to go back to the same position. Oh, we can't get it. So if he keeps his leg low, okay, that's easy, but now this, keep it tight. This becomes hard. All right, I got it. But that's easy. If he keeps his leg high, this is hard, this is easy. So you guys can really compare this to how we pass X guard, right? We just take the space that's being given to us. All right, so from any of these situations really, okay? When we start to come down here, right? Which dominant positions am I gonna choose and why? The biggest thing I'm worried about is him pushing on my hips. Okay, so when I do go to side control, let's say I lean here, okay, I remove the butterfly hook, and Joe's pushing on my hips, that means he's trying to recover his guard here, okay? So when that happens, okay, we can stay in the float and just keep windshield wiping, all right? So from here, if I feel like he's gonna follow me and potentially get his guard back, I'll just keep weight into my hands and then go to the other side and start to look to pass here. Get a lot of questions about the mount here too. So if he stays here, which is not a good idea on his part, I'm gonna mount him, okay? Because I feel that he's really trying to push me off of him, really connected to my upper body. That means he's not pushing on my hips, great, okay? So from here, windshield wipe off, okay, he's still pushing, that's when I'll just open my hip, slap that leg off, and go right to mount. Guys, of course, don't forget about back exposure, all right? Especially with the windshield wiping one, or just in general, okay? At any point, for any reason, okay, if he turns away from me, we're gonna seatbelt and take his back, okay? This will also happen more commonly from that last situation where like he's really trying to push in. If you float over really fast, okay, a lot of times you can take that back exposure before he follows you. If Ulysses straightens this leg, what should I do? So this is what I'm seeing right now, kind of similar. All right, you guys are going here. Okay, lift your leg, please. You're going to pummel. Okay, you're getting this. Okay, or if you are getting it, he should lift his leg more. Okay. All right. Now, when you guys are going here, your partner's like, what's the best word for this? Start to make your leg a little looser, I guess, like dead. Yeah. Okay. Guys, if you feel like you're, oh, I just can't get my leg over, but your knee is starting to slide off, yeah, just mount them. Okay. To a degree, everything we're doing right now from headquarters, we can do in the first position as well. All right. So if you're having trouble getting past the first step, okay, let's say he's lifting me up. Okay, let's say I walk my hands in and Joe's like kicking his legs up really high. Okay, guys, you can start to front pummel here too. Okay. We haven't drilled this yet tonight, but I know a lot of you have a lot this week. Okay, if he's kicking up and down, I can't pummel in, I can't front pummel. Again, we can always try to use our hips to look for hip switch motions as well. This is a huge multi-purpose tool, guys, okay? There's a lot of different situations we can use this. I'll give you guys a bunch of examples tonight, okay? A really big, broad one from us working this hip switch is when they're not pulling us on top as much, okay? And a lot of times when they're pushing us, and that's where a lot of the other variations come into play too. Okay, so from headquarters again, all right? Essentially what we're looking at is when, again, one of the central problems of headquarters is this knee, and we can't manipulate it, okay? We can't pull it this way, okay? We can't push it this way. We can't bring the knee through our legs. Like, he's just doing a really good job of solidifying this hook, okay? Something that's gonna be stronger than our arms and our feet are our hips, okay? So, just the general spot we're gonna drill this from is the theme of the week, which is the float, okay? So, when I can't leg pummel, okay, or I don't want to, okay, or I can't, maybe he's pushing me away. When you get pushed away, it's hard to bring this leg over, okay? So, regardless of the scenario here, we're gonna focus on, again, curling our heels, but this time just moving our hips, okay? So watch my left hip. There, I wanna push that leg out of the way. You guys see my legs are still curled? And then I'm just gonna drop, okay? Now from here, we can do the same thing, cross face underhook. Guys, we'll borrow a detail from last week too. If I don't quite do it that perfect, and a lot of times you won't, let's say he's facing me. Okay. Again, just remember to sprawl. Start to walk his hips back, and then you can finish your pass, okay? I rotate his knee with my hip when I do this, the better chance I have of clearing his legs. Okay, it's like doing the full footwork on a forearm. So if you guys are hitting the hip switch and you're like landing here behind the shin, that means you're not pushing this knee across enough with your hips, okay? Furthermore, if your legs are getting caught, that means you guys are disengaging your legs too early, okay? I'm not doing this isn't like a back step pass. I'm not doing big motions with my legs, all right? So if you guys watch here, okay, I'm keeping my feet curled. Watch, I'm not gonna uncurl them. Now watch, I really rotate it and not drop. Okay, I'm not like kicking my legs straight or anything like that. And I can do that once I'm passed, okay, but I'm not doing that while I'm passing. Like, this is a fast twitch pass. You do it pretty quickly. But if you really like want to master the mechanics of it, I really recommend that you do it slowly like that. Really get used to using your hip as a push on this knee, and then you'll have more consistency with it, okay? So, here, hands forwards, heels curled, move your hip, and then switch hips. Okay? And then you just dead drop. We don't need to do big back steps, anything like that. Once I push his knee out of the way, I'll just go from my left to my right, drop, and then start to connect here. Okay? Walk his hips back, and then come up. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of you when you hit your hip switch. Okay? You're here, you're switching, that knee's coming to the front. Okay? That's when we can start to think to switch to our hip and our knee post here. Okay? Like, again, I don't want to have the habit of like trying to fight through this while he has good frames and good positioning. He's probably going to get a good guard back. Instead, I'd rather identify that I lost that space immediately and just switch to the next thing. Okay? So again, like if I was here, boom, comes to the front. That's when we can start to switch to that position and work different styles of passes too. This is one of the other main situations where the hip switch really comes into play. Okay? So if we're going for a knee cut, for example, from headquarters, and again, everything's going right, you got this underhook, you go to shoot your knee up, but sometimes like you just run into that really tough person where this leg is just a wall. Okay? It's not going. That is a really good time to hip switch. Alright? Just put a thumb post on this so that he's not fully recovering his guard. And then from here we can just knock it.